Of games that will determine the playoff picture. I believe this is going to be one of them as well. Brian Brinkley joins us from OKC. Brian, first off, how was the week overall? I know Oklahoma got a chance to rest and hang out for a little while, getting ready for Alabama there. How was the week for you and your sports team?
It was good for us. We need a little break here with the NBA already underway. Now college basketball is underway, so it's kind of a good, as coaches like to say, it was a good time for the bye week. But as far as Oklahoma is concerned, I think, Ben Arbuckle, like multiple times, talked today about how he thought that they approached the bye week in a real good way and did the work. They weren't just looking ahead to their 3 or 4 day vacation. He probably would have said that anyway, but both Brent maybe wouldn't. Brent would call out his guys probably if they didn't, but both Brent and Ben seem to think that they really went about their work in a good way, as Bob Stoops would say in the old days. So OU comes in with a lot of confidence. Obviously a major challenge, though, in Tuscaloosa Saturday.
Absolutely. These last 5 games has been a win over Kent State, a loss against Texas, a win over South Carolina, a loss against Ole Miss, and then a win against Tennessee. What do you feel like needs to be a thread that needs to stick with this football team to be able to put together a nice winning streak and get themselves in the final 12?
I think 2 things down the stretch are going to be critical, not just Saturday, but the final 2 games of the year with Missouri and LSU. One, running the football. They got to continue to improve there. And defensively, they got to get some turnovers. I mean, we saw how huge that turnover was on the R. Mason Thomas fumble return against Tennessee. It just totally turned the tide of that game. I mean, OU was getting run over at that point, and it just changed the momentum drastically. So as good as OU's defense has been, they haven't had a lot of takeaways this year. They've gotten a little better in the last month or so, but I think they're going to have to get some. And they're going against the best team in the country in turnover margin on Saturday.
No question. I think the last time that Oklahoma played, and the numbers don't necessarily bear it out, but the way that the play was for John Mateer, it felt like he was back. And it felt like we were saying that for the first time since he broke his hand against the Auburn Tigers. What did you make of the bye week for him and being able to get some time away? And then coming off this last game, do you think he could continue to build on that, he, Arbuckle, and the rest of the offense?
Oh, I think the bye week is probably a big boost for him, just for no other reason, just to kind of rest up a little bit, because he got banged around against Tennessee because he ran the ball so much.
Right.
And so I'm sure that probably helped him to have the off week. And then it reminded everyone about how dangerous he is as a runner. So Alabama's got to be wary of a lot of things with John Mateer, and that's why I think OU's running back game is going to be important. They've got to be able to use more than just Mateer. They need Xavier Robinson to run like he's been running lately, and hopefully get Torrey Blaylock back to where he was earlier in the season.
Absolutely. What about this defense for the Oklahoma defense? Obviously, Alabama right now, they have one of the Heisman Trophy favorites in Ty Simpson. We've seen what Ryan Williams can do, and Jeremy Bernard and some of the playmakers there for the Alabama offense. What is your take for what this defense needs to do to continue to step up?
I think no doubt they've got to be able to put pressure on Simpson. I think that's something that they probably can do. That's going to be critical in this game. Keep Simpson as uncomfortable as possible. And OU, they run in, Brent runs in all kinds of, there's great depth there in the front 7 for Oklahoma. They're going to be running guys in and out, trying to keep everybody fresh, I would imagine. And it's going to be, I would envision Brent sitting down and having all kinds of different packages he's ready to throw at Alabama. I mean, this is what Brent Venables lives for, taking on a team like Alabama, a great offense, and seeing what he can come up with, go into the lab, so to speak, and cook up something good on defense.
For sure. Last time we saw this team on the road there in Knoxville, they were quieting more than 100,000 Vols fans that had aspirations for the college football playoff. Now going back on the road there in Tuscaloosa, the game 2 weeks ago has to give them so much confidence as they move forward. But what are some of the keys you think in the game, inside those 60 minutes that they'll have to do to execute to be able to get yet another big win on the road?
One thing I think Oklahoma's getting used to what an SEC road game is like, because they've gone to, not all of them, because it takes a while to get to all the other 15, but well, other 14, I guess, throw out Texas, but they're starting to get used to it. And now they have a couple of road wins this year. And so they're gaining some confidence there. Obviously, this is going to be a very difficult place to play. Oklahoma has won there before in this century. Alabama wasn't quite as good back then, but it has been done. And then I think you can't discount the confidence OU gained from beating Alabama last year at home. I think that is a huge help going in. Most of the time, I think what happened the year before doesn't really matter, but considering that was OU's first year in the league, playing the flagship, school in the league and the SEC, and to get that win and to do it the way they did it, I think is a big confidence push. And there's a bunch of guys back, especially from the defensive side of the ball from that game. And both coaches are going to downplay what happened last year, and they already have, from what I've heard. But I think that's a big boost. As far as what happens in the game, like I said, I think that turnovers are going to be key. OU's got to be able to run the ball. If you can't run the ball on the road in the SEC, you're going to be in trouble. And to be able to mix it up, have Mateer do some running back game, and then to be able to throw the ball when they need to make big plays against Alabama.
Absolutely. We got a chance to hear from Coach Brent Venables on facing Tide quarterback Ty Simpson.
His dad's a college football coach, and so he's been around the game, so he's got good instincts for it. Again, well-versed in, what they're trying to do, and then understanding what he's seeing. But he's got great maturity, really good decision-making, very decisive. He's got great arm talent, and again, keeps him out of bad plays. You go back and again, their turnover margin, they lead the SEC in turnover margin, and that there's not a stat that's more important than that. And taking care of the football, making good decisions, not putting them in harm's way is the job of the quarterback. And when you've got good players, you've got good coaches, and you take care of the ball, good things, will happen. I think since 23, when we've won the turnover margin, I think we're 16-0. And so that's just, that's something that they've done at a really high level. I think a year ago, I don't know where exactly they ranked a year ago at this time, but it wasn't, they're not in the same place from a, taking care of a ball standpoint.
So I think all these teams that have 2 losses sit in a very precarious situation because, you're right outside of the college football playoff, but you have obviously Texas with 2 losses, Vandy with 2 losses, even outside of the SEC. A few of those teams have a pair of losses as well. How do you think that the coach and the coaching staff helps balance their shot at the playoffs, what these games can mean for the playoffs, and at the same time, too, being able to focus on what they have to do because everything else is outside of their control?
Yeah, I think for the coaches, and hear Kalen DeBoer talk about it all the time about, shutting out the outside noise and focusing on what you have to do. And Brent's the same way with that. And the way it is, the SEC, you have to focus each week or you're going to get run out of the stadium.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're daydreaming about possibly going to Pasadena or Miami or something in a playoff game, you better get focused straight away. And that's what's great about the SEC. You better come with it every week. And I don't think either team's going to have a problem with that this week because this is a huge game. Obviously, for Oklahoma, it's in effect an elimination game for the playoff. Alabama's got a little more room to play with, but they obviously, this could affect whether they're hosting a playoff game or getting a bye or whatever. So they got plenty on the line as well.